Welcome to this study in the book of Colossians. I'm so glad that you've decided to join us. You know what? I am so excited about what we're going to bring to you this week. We're going to be giving you things that will help you to grow in your life. And let me just ask you to share this video, to share these devotions that we're doing every weekday. Share them with someone else that they can also continue to grow in their spiritual walk. You say, well, how do you know what you're saying will cause you to grow? Because it's the Word of God. We teach the Word of God verse by verse, and that is what causes Christians to grow. You don't grow by experiences. You don't grow by feelings. You grow by having and receiving the Word of God into your heart and into your mind. So today we're in Colossians, the 2nd chapter, verse number 8. And it says, "See to it that no one takes you captive through philosophy and empty deceit, according to the traditions of men, according to the elementary principles of the world, rather than according to Christ." Now the Apostle Paul is writing to the Colossian people. Now, the Colossian people were a mixture of different cultures, but predominantly they were Jewish, and they were people that were into Greek mythology, or what we could also call pantheism. They had really strange philosophies. And I say strange because they're not the philosophies of a born-again Christian. And so Paul is writing to them, trying to correct the way that they're thinking. And so he comes right out here in verse number 8, and he says something amazing. He says, "See to it that no one takes you captive." Now this word captive, it's more descriptive in the Greek language. The word captive means to take someone and to captivate them and then lead them into another country. You know, if you were to take captives in a war, many times they would take that captive and they would lead it into another place. And that's what the Apostle Paul is talking about. He's talking about people that are not only bound, but these people are bound, but they are being led away. Have you ever seen a believer that comes to Jesus, and then you watch their lives, and at first they're so excited about Jesus. They're so excited about what God's doing, but then all of a sudden they seem to be moving away. Well, I believe one of the reasons for that is because they are allowing philosophies to come in to their lives that are actually leading them away from the joy of their salvation. Now, again, let's look at this verse. Paul says, "See to it that no one takes you captive," in other words, binds you up and leads you away. And how do they do it? Through philosophies and empty deception. Now, this word philosophies actually means the love of wisdom. How many of you ever ran into someone that they just love wisdom? They're always constantly looking for wisdom. And so they're going to Greek mythology, and they're going here and they're going there, and they're reading books, and they're just taking in all types of philosophies. And all of a sudden they're bound. You see, as a believer, you can be taken captive by philosophies. By philosophies and by this love of all different types of religions. People say to me, "Well, Leon, don't you study Greek mythology?" No, I don't, and I won't. I don't need it. Do you understand? Don't you study this philosopher? No, and I won't. Why? Because if I study it, if I put it into my mind, there's a chance that that's going to lead me away. It's going to bind me up and lead me away. And I see believers all caught up into demonic, supernatural things, fantasies, we call it. Really, let me be real honest with you, and you might turn me off because of this, but a lot of those fantasies, a lot of those things that you're watching are demonically induced. And you know what? If you're not careful, you're going to be led away, you're going to be captive, you're going to be bound up and led away by those types of philosophies. Some of the movies that people are watching, even believers, I'm amazed at what they allow in their heads because they're philosophies that are against the gospel and against the knowledge of God. The next thing that Paul says is empty deceit. Now, what is empty deceit? It's just basically deceit is something that's deceptive. It's a lie. People believe lies. How many ever heard this voice, "You're no good"? How many ever heard you're not good enough or you're not wise enough? You know what that is? That is an empty deception. That is something that is deceiving you and trying to get you to believe a lie. Jesus doesn't love you. You've sinned too much. Jesus cannot forgive you. Brothers and sisters, those are empty deceptions. And you know what? If you're not careful, those are going to bind you up and then they're going to lead you astray. Now, Paul goes on, and we need to hurry here, but Paul goes on and he says this. Now, how does this philosophy and empty deceptions come? They come in a couple different ways that Paul mentions. They come according to the traditions of men. How many of you know that Paul is talking to Jewish people? And how many of you know that Judaism is filled with traditions of men? You know, God gave the Jews 10 commandments, and then he told them how to do different things as far as the temple and all that stuff. But you know what happened? Over the years, man added to that and added and added and added and added until Jewish people were so bound, so led astray from the gospel and the true meaning of things that they were captive. So he says, according to the traditions of men. And by the way, churches have traditions, and you need to be careful. The next thing that he says, according to the elementary principles of this world. Now, what's he talking about when he says the elementary principles of this world? Means these basic principles that many times we just accept into our lives, but yet they lead us astray. Now, I looked at the clock. The thing that we need to be led to is we need to be led to Christ. That's what Paul says in this last verse. We need to be led according to Christ, according to the Anointed One. So I challenge you today, take a look at what you believe. Take a look at what you're hearing. Is it Christ? If it's not, kick it out. Thank you for watching. God bless you. We'll see you again tomorrow.